Blessings and namaste, everyone. I'm spiritualist, psychic, astrologer, and medium Ray Sette. Thank you once again for sharing this time with me as I offer you my insights into the astrological and spiritual potentials of January 2019. First, I'm trusting that everyone enjoyed a beautiful and wonderful holiday season. We're very excited to be beginning a new year, as we always are. We do begin the new year on January 1st, obviously. However, when we observe all things from an astrological understanding, the day begins at the moment of sunrise and continues through until the next sunrise. That's how we define a day on an astrological understanding. And the first sunrise actually is in the United States, will take place on January 1st at 7:05 a.m. in Lubec, Maine. That is the first location in the United States that observes the very first sunrise of the new year. We cast the astrological chart for the new year in the United States on January 1st in Washington. That time is a little bit later at 7:31 a.m. Both those charts give us the sun rising with the sign Capricorn rising. And what's significant in those charts is that Saturn is in close proximity to the sun. When two elements are occupying the same space, we call it a conjunction. Most of us understand that to be equated to a new moon, when the sun and the moon are occupy the same space along the astrological configuration. And we have the sun and Saturn connecting together on January 1st. On January 2nd is the exact Sun-Saturn conjunction, and that takes place at 12:49 a.m. The significance with that is sometimes when Saturn can at times create a sense of heaviness, a sense of oppression. Saturn connects very much with melodrama. When the Sun and Saturn connect this way, we can potentially feel oppressed and heaviness in external energies, in the external atmosphere. However, those experiences, as all astrological phenomena, which I always inspire us to recognize, all astrological phenomena, all alignments do have a greater potential when we allow ourselves to recognize the significance of whatever aspect is coming together. The adverse effects of it is that we can feel at times very heavy. We can feel a sense of heaviness, oppression by external influences and external factors. However, those experiences are providing us with opportunities to very much work on ourselves, connect and have the experience of meditation, yoga, those types of disciplines which allow us to become very strong spiritually. Saturn at times can feel very oppressive. However, it creates strength, discipline, and determination. And when we concentrate our energy towards those very positive aspects of that element, we then connect with the higher vibrational frequency of the experience, and we're not derailed or diverted from missing the opportunities that are always being presented to us by Spirit through these astrological alignments. So on the first couple of days of the year, if you're feeling any sort of heaviness or suppression coming from external influences, do not allow yourselves to be consumed by that. Instead, go within, connect, and enjoy the experience of meditation. As I mentioned earlier, disciplines such as yoga. Really strengthen yourself on a spiritual level during those moments, and just observe the more positive experiences that you have by doing so. We also do begin the year with a very significant solar eclipse, new moon, on January 5th. And we are addressing those Capricorn Saturn energies. Saturn actually is the ruler of the sign Capricorn. On the new moon on January 5th, which is exact at 8:29 p.m., and that's Eastern Time here in the United States. We have 5 elements in the sign Capricorn. We have Mercury, Saturn, the Sun, the Moon, and Pluto in the sign of Capricorn. And the sector of the astrological chart that is very much highlighted with this new moon is the 5th house sector. That is the part of the chart that connects us with creativity, divinity. It also represents children, our childlike qualities. I very much emphasize for us to really fortify the element of our creativity that connects us with divinity at the time of this new moon. Also, Capricorn connects and represents with our long-term goals. Solar eclipse also are favorable moments to address and set in motion the energies for long-term goals. Just as a new moon connects us with experiences on a month-to-month basis, from new moon to new moon, the energies of a solar eclipse are in effect much longer, up to 6 months, and sometimes even longer than 6 months will the energies of a solar eclipse very much be in play for us. We're always given an opportunity to really recognize all the energies that we set in motion the day before, the day of, and the day after the solar eclipse. Remember, all of that will stay intact for a very long period of time. We offer suggestions as to really being aware of whatever it is that you're engaging in that 3-day period, and keep in mind that it potentially will remain in effect for a longer period of time. We always suggest to put money into bank accounts on a solar eclipse. If you are in the process of finding new employment, it's a favorable time to send out resumes on a solar eclipse. Be aware to, if possible, not to pay bills on a solar eclipse, because remember, you are setting the energy in motion for long periods of time. Whatever it is that you would choose to experience for an extended duration of time, please remember that's what you will be setting in motion on the solar eclipse. So be very clear to recognize that it is something that is very positive and very favorable and contributing to your experiences and your journey. Again, that's a solar eclipse on January 5th. Let's also be aware to stay away from any unnecessary drama which may be taking place in the outside world, any influences which may derail us from recognizing our power and the light that's inside of us. That solar eclipse energy could also present to us situations that will try to disempower us. And remember that any element in the outside world only has the power over us, say the power that we offer to it. Remember, these are times for all of us to know our power. When I emphasize power, it very much is representative of that element of divinity that's in every one of us. And as I said earlier, this new moon is very much concentrated with the sector of the chart that represents divinity. This is one final prominent moment for all of us to embrace this knowing within ourselves of this connection that every one of us has the ability to tap into when we are aware of that. So much right now is very much happening in the outside world that is endeavoring to cause us to really forget and to not recognize that power that is within us. That is because the outside forces are losing their power over us, because we are empowering ourselves. And certainly this does not suggest that we use this power to disempower another or to overpower another. This is an opportunity for us to fully recognize we are the masters of our destiny. And if there is any doubt in your mind of that knowing of who it is that you are, allow yourself to dissolve that leading up to the new moon. Remember, the three to 4 days leading up to the new moon, which is the balsamic moon phase, that is a time for us to cleanse, clear, and purge, and release anything which no longer serves a higher purpose for us, so that we can adequately prepare with a clean slate a new cycle of experience. If you have any less than thoughts about yourself, especially if you're questioning whether or not you in fact truly are the master of your destiny, recognize those thoughts and choose to dissolve them leading up to the new moon solar eclipse on January 5th. And keep in mind that there may be experiences in the outside world which may attempt at derailing us from fully knowing that aspect of divinity that is within all of us. Be aware of this. Observe all that takes place from a distance. Be in the world and not of it, as I've said many times over these last few years, because we very much are in the times of self-empowerment, knowing our power, knowing our connection to divinity, recognizing how we are very much creative beings, and we are very instrumental in creating all our experiences, as well as miscreating experiences when we're not fully aware of all that we are engaging in through thought, word, and deed. Become very aware of all it is that you are setting in motion. Do not allow yourself to connect with anything which does not serve a greater loving purpose for you. This opportunity, this new moon, these new experiences that we're having, this is one final turning point for all of us to know the power that is within every one of us. And this is the light of creativity and divinity. January is our next eclipse season, and we are going to begin the year with a very powerful opportunity for us to finally, from a place of love and humility, know the power, know the light that is inside every one of us. And when we refer to the knowing of that power, that element of power, of empowerment, self-empowerment, that's the planet that the planet that represents that and connects us with that is Pluto. And I've suggested many times to really recognize how that source is very prominent, and sometimes it's misunderstood, such as Saturn. Saturn is very misunderstood. However, all of the planets and the signs, they do have some very powerful elements to them that can serve all of us a greater purpose. On January 11th, the Sun and Pluto do come together in a conjunction, as I referred to earlier, a new moon type experience. That is another opportunity for us to set in motion really the knowing of our power, that is the element of empowerment. It's also a favorable opportunity to really recognize our ability to manifest, to bring to form all that we desire. And that opportunity, as I said, is on January 11th. The exact time of that alignment is 6:37 a.m. Now on January 13th, Jupiter and Neptune form somewhat of a volatile alignment. However, as I've said many times, when we understand the greater significance of the alignments, we bring to form the higher vibrational possibility of the said alignment. Now, whenever Neptune is involved, Neptune, as I've said many times, is very, very tricky. Neptune is can be very deceiving. And when Jupiter is present, because Jupiter is the planet of abundance, it's also the planet of excess. So with this type of an alignment, we have to be very, very clear and very aware of whatever deceptions may be thrown at us in the outside world, to use that alignment in a very positive manner, because Neptune is the planet which connects us with spirit, It heightens and represents the psychic faculties with this presence of Jupiter. One, we can certainly very much engage in some heightened communication with the spirit realm, but with that, because with that alignment, it does present the possibility of being very vulnerable to psychic influences which can cause us, not necessarily cause us harm. However, if we're unaware of what it is that we're engaging in, it can certainly cause us harm. For example, we need to very much stay away from substances, anything which lower our spiritual defenses. Neptune is also the planet that represents substances, and with the presence of Jupiter, there can be an overindulgence in substances or anything else for that matter, which allow us to become very spiritually vulnerable to some very negative influences. So in those days, as always, we heighten up the request for spiritual protection. However, to use that energy in a very positive aspect, because at that time the element Gemini is rising, which Gemini connects with creativity. It's a favorable opportunity to engage in spiritual writings, creative writings. If your creative writings need a bit of a boost, be sure to connect with the energy on that day to just kind of fuel the process and use this energy in a very positive way, so that certainly you are not in any sort of way derailed by any negative psychic influences which may potentially come to form at that time, and also be in effect for the few days after that as well. Our Sun moves into the sign of Aquarius on January 20th. Aquarius is the sign of the New Age, the humanitarian, the astrologer. Aquarius is an air sign, even though it is referred to as the water bearer. Aquarius is an air sign. It's also the sign of the genius, the inventor. Aquarius allows us to think very much abstractly and outside the box. Whenever the Sun moves through the sign of Aquarius, it is a favorable time to receive unconventional solutions to anything which you might be challenged with. It's also the sign of the rebel, but we also want to be very aware to be not necessarily to be a rebel without a cause, to be very much that type of a being which offers and facilitates great and powerful change. Aquarius is the sign of great and prominent change. On January 21st, we have our next eclipse, which it's a full moon lunar eclipse. The moon is in the sign of Leo, which, as I've emphasized many times, that again is the element of creativity, divinity. The presence, once again, for us to fully recognize and embrace. We are the masters of our destiny. The time very much is at hand for all of us to embrace this knowing from a place of love and humility. And when we fully engage in those experiences, as I said earlier, nothing in the outside world will suppress us, have power over us. We create all that we desire, all that is necessary for us to fully enjoy this human experience from a place of harmony, balance, love, prosperity, in all that we desire to experience. Remember this, know this. With the moon in the sign of Leo, we can experience at times, once again, authority figures which try to oppress us, especially because Leo is a sign of royalty. It's a sign of those which at times when they don't have the highest interest, the best interest of humanity at hand there, we could become very aware of some of these elements in the outside world. Once again, just allow yourself to be in the world and not of it, and not let yourself be derailed or consumed by perhaps unnecessary drama and chaos which may be taking place in the outside world. With the moon in the sign of Leo at the full moon lunar eclipse, the opposite sign of that is Aquarius. Aquarius is the sign which connects most with chaos. And as I've said many times, chaos will always precede great change. Remember, we are in the times of prominent change. Change which is allowing us to fully recognize the essence of our beings, perhaps even our origins, the origins of humanity, where we actually came from. And as I've been illustrating for many years, we are in the times of revelations, the times of the apocalypse, which has nothing to do with doom, gloom, and destruction. It's a time of awakening. We could be moving through a time where we become very close to fully awakening to who it is that we are, the essence of our being. However, right before that shift, there may be experiences in the outside world that always try to derail us from recognizing that element within ourselves. As difficult as it is, do not allow yourselves to become derailed, consumed by any unnecessary drama which may be taking place in the outside world, especially as we move through the early part of 2019. These can be some very, very exciting times. So just keep that in mind. And as difficult as it may seem, remember, all that takes place in the outside world, it's only illusion. This knowing comes from the Course in Miracles. For those who are not familiar with that that information, I do suggest exploring that for yourselves as just another tool on your spiritual journey. The energies of a full moon, the energies of an eclipse very much are triggered when Mars forms an alignment to those energies. And on January 23rd, Mars will be forming a creative and dynamic square alignment to the energy of the new moon solar eclipse. So on January 23rd, perhaps for yourselves personally, be aware how all that you've set in motion at the time of the new moon solar eclipse could certainly be coming to form and coming together for you. Also be aware of any information you may be given that you may need to alter or adjust. The full manifestation of what you set in motion at the time of that new moon, once again, will be triggered during the next eclipse season, which will be in July. Eclipse seasons are generally 5 to 6 months from one another. And the next eclipse season, we always revisit whatever we may have begun at the prior eclipse season. Just to go one step further on that, the last eclipse season we experienced was in August. So reflect on your evolutionary growth from the time of our last eclipse season in August, which coincided with, well, you may remember, the Lion's Gate portal, which began was exact on August 8th. It's in effect for from about the end of July. However, it's exact on August 8th. Once again, that element, those energies connect us with our creativity, our connection with divinity, our ability to manifest and bring to form. You see that there's a theme here that's going on with these eclipses, and it's because it's an opportunity for humanity to finally embrace the light that is within themselves, within ourselves, within every one of us, that allows us to create all that we desire, all that we need, all that is required for us to enjoy peace, harmony, love, and balance in all our lives, especially the element of abundance. Remember, abundance is our birthright. right. It is not designated to the elite and special individuals. Every one of us has the ability to bring to form and create abundance in our lives. I always suggest to recognize how sometimes we create abundance in the element of lack. And we have to be careful with how we direct our thoughts. We don't want to generate abundance in lack by concentrating too much on lack, especially at the time of the new moon solar eclipse on January 5th. So once again, I am spiritualist, psychic, astrologer, and medium Ray Sette. I trust that this information has inspired you. Remember that there are a multitude, there are thousands of alignments that take place during the course of the month, even during the course of a few days. We only address, or I choose to address rather, those that are the most prominent. Also remember that how they connect with your astrological chart specifically will be much more defining as to what you may experience on a personal level. Also remember, if you have a birthday around the time of the eclipses, that energy stays with you throughout the year. And we always suggest having a consultation around the time of your birthday. I suggest maybe 3 months leading up to your birthday so we can look ahead as to what's coming. However, we can always engage in a conversation that will allow you to really recognize what will be coming for you during the subsequent year. And as I said, I'm always available for all those who choose to really address any of these matters. You could reach out to Lori or anyone at the center. Even though I'm not physically at the mystical moon, I am always available for consultations for those who need the services. I will return again in April. I've actually already set some potential dates aside as to when I will be returning to the mystical moon in April, and once all of that's confirmed, we certainly will share that with you as well. So I trust everyone to have a safe and blessed New Year's. Allow yourself to set some very positive, powerful energy in motion for yourselves, especially with the solar eclipse that we have on January 5th. Let yourself become abundantly clear with all those desires before that, because at that time you want to be very clear and very certain with all the energy and all the intentions that you set in motion. The greater our clarity that we send out to the universe regarding our desires, it'll make it that much easier for the universe to give us back what we truly choose to experience. Once again, I thank you for sharing this time with me. Stay in the light and always in a place of love, and I will see you again very soon. Namaste.